Hey, today we're going to talk about raspberries just a little bit. We're going to talk about the types of raspberries and how to propagate raspberries. Good news is it's very easy to propagate raspberries. Let me show you. I'm in a totally neglected patch of raspberries behind me. And one of the reasons that I've neglected this area this year is because we're redoing this whole area, which is pretty sloped. We're hopefully going to get to terracing this whole area, which is a little bit painful because I've got spoiled apple trees and stuff that are going to have to get adjusted. But I think in the long run, this is going to really work out well. But let's get back to raspberries. First of all, there's two general basic kinds of raspberries. There are summer-bearing raspberries and there are ever-bearing raspberries. And of course, there's dozens of cultivars within each one of those categories. And the main difference, as far as practically, is summer-bearing raspberries develop fruit, and that fruit kind of all comes to be ripe within a short period of time, usually early in the summer. For us, it's June. Basically, the month of June, we will have raspberries. Obviously, it's going to be different in different areas of the country where raspberries do well. Whereas ever-bearing raspberries will actually produce over a much longer period of time, but not as much all at once. And depending on where you are, that could be a long harvest, or it could be a two different harvests. Okay, so a smaller one in, say, mid to late summer, and then a bigger one as we're approaching fall. Okay, generally speaking, again, it depends on your climate and where you're at. Okay, so that's the basic two different ways or two different kinds of raspberries. Now let me show you a super simple way to propagate raspberries. All right, so you can see here this is the this is a serious overgrown patch. Same thing with along the back fence there. But with that total neglect, this patch will produce a bunch of raspberries. I mean, a lot. Now we have the kind we have here it's a thornless, okay, type of raspberry, and this is what's called it was a second-year cane, and on summer-bearing raspberries, the fruit is produced on that second-year cane. Okay, and that's what we have. We have summer-bearing raspberries. So in June, they all come ripe over about a month, and we get a wonderful harvest over that period of time, and then we're done. Okay, and now, raspberries propagate on their own very well. So like, for example, this shoot is coming off of this main line right there, and here we have over here another one, all the way over here, another one, and etc. Okay, and it just goes on and on. And then so the super simple way is to kind of let them sucker like that, and then you can do this one very easy thing, which is to simply dig this up and either move it, or you can pot it up, for example. Now, the one thing that will happen over time as they propagate on their own is they will kind of revert to a slightly different kind of raspberry. So, for example, just like I said before, these are the thornless, and then as we see these propagate, these have thorns, okay? So it's kind of hybridizing a little bit as it propagates. So what I will look for is ones that are propagating that I can dig that are still thornless. Okay, so like this one, for example, right there. And that's, again, obviously not the original, because the original raspberries were planted along this line here. And so that's it. So let me show you how I dig these up. Okay, and raspberries do spread via a rhizome, right? So that's how they're moving the way they are. And so I'm just kind of taking a look down here and see what I got. And so I have a little bundle here. It's obviously all coming from the same root system. And so what I'll do is I'll take a look at these two right here. Is I'm just gonna you know, make sure I get a decent amount of roots. But I'm not worried about it. They really propagate pretty easily. But essentially, I'm just breaking it off from the mother plant that's probably in there. Well, that is in there. All right, there we go. And there we go. And then that's, you know, and honestly, they're so pretty resilient, so I can kind of show you. Oh, look at that. There's some worms in there and all that. What we have is, let's see if I can even almost get this kind of bare root for you. Okay, there we go. So you can see we've got this main root that's pushing out, and then these are coming up off as they grew up from this main root there, and that shows you how well they sucker. Okay, so I'm going to save this plant. I'm going to dig a few more, and then when we go to terrace this area, a lot of this is going to get destroyed, but then we have a source for replanting. All right, so finally, I just wanted to show you this because this is a great example. Again, the roots system on this is, you know, the roots come this way, and then you have suckers that come up all over the place. And so I've got, you know, this nice plant that I'm going to actually pot up and keep as another mother plant, if you will. Now, the other thing, though, to point out is that these were last year's primary canes. Okay, so last year, these canes fruited. Okay, this year, this cane will fruit. And that's all there really is to it. They're really easy to propagate. Like I said, you might get a slightly hybridized form of raspberries. And so, you know, you got to watch that if that's important to you. For us, it's not. For us, it's getting good production. And if you really love raspberries, you know, a good technique is that to have a summer bearing patch, and then have an ever bearing patch, and you can be in raspberries for a lot, and you can get really good production. So we love raspberries.